So guys, what is going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. Hope everything's well at your end. So guys, I wanted to talk about Josh Taylor. The man's the undisputed light welterweight champion of the world. He's on top of the world. He's king. He's the king. He is the king right now. You got to give him a lot of credit. In 18 fights, he's become the undisputed light welterweight champion. What an achievement. You've got to give him a lot of respect. And you know what? I was in my post-fight video, I was a little harsh. Thinking about it, what he's done, what he's achieved. Listen, it's great. It's great. And I think he's also, one thing about Josh Taylor is I think he's very hardworking. And what I mean by that is I think he's got a bit of Anthony Joshua in him, where I think he's a gym rat. He even said in his interview afterwards that, you know, he's going to take a week off, let the scars and the injuries heal up, the swelling on his eye heal up, and then he's going to get back in the gym. And that shows dedication, which not a lot of fighters had, especially now he's on top of the world. He also mentioned that he's got the target on his back now, and he's got to work even harder to keep what he's got. But the reason why I made this video is because Bob Arum has said that Josh Taylor and Terence Crawford are in the works for October. Now, Bob Arum first said that, you know, Josh Taylor would fight Jack Catterall. Now I've seen some I think it was something on Facebook, one of Facebook group, that, you know, Bob Arum confirmed that, you know, they are looking at Josh Taylor v Terence Crawford. I don't know what to make of this fight, because I think if you're Josh Taylor, you know, it feels like he's a type of guy that wants to prove himself, you know, as a top fighter. And listen, I've got nothing against the fighter going in and trying to prove that he's the best and fighting someone like Crawford, because that's the logical fight now. He's the undisputed light welterweight champion. The only thing is that he's just become undisputed, and I feel there's other fights out there that could make him big money and are more winnable fights. I'll be blunt. I don't think he beats Terence Crawford. I don't. I think Terence Crawford is special. I think Terence Crawford is an unbelievable fighter. And I just don't think, from what I've seen so far, I don't think he beats Terence Crawford. I think Josh Taylor's done well. And you listen, I think he's the best out of the bunch at 140. He has had some close fights. I think if you put Crawford in there with Ramirez, Prograis, the other Baranchik, you know, Victor Postal. We already saw what he did to Victor Postal, and that was when Victor Postal was undefeated. He took Victor Postal apart, and then compare that to Josh's performance. I know people say, well, that was because Josh was, you know, early on, and he only had a couple, you know, like what, 13, 14 fights when he fought Postal. It doesn't really matter, because the fact of the matter is that we can also look at it as that Postal was undefeated. And let's not forget, Crawford beat him up in that fight. You know, he took a lot of Postal's confidence away. He beat Postal up. So if I'm honest with you, yeah, it was a good performance. And that Postal fight with Taylor was very close, by the way. Very close. I think if you put Crawford in there with any of these 140-pounders, he would dominate. It wouldn't be close. I don't think any of the fights would be as close. I think he's level above. I think he would dominate. All of these guys, Ramirez, all of those guys. I think he would dominate them. So, I honestly think he would dominate Taylor. I think Taylor may have moments in the fight, but I think overall, I think Crawford is just a more complete, more versatile. He's faster. He's so fast, so sharp, such fast feet, educated feet. His movement, doesn't waste punches. That's not a good fight. I don't think, when I think there's fights out there with Gervonta Davis, Teofimo Lopez, but I think Josh Taylor himself wants to fight. I think that's why I think that fight's probably going to happen, because I think Taylor himself wants to fight. And you've got to give him credit, because after being undisputed, he doesn't want any easy touches. Like, he could say, let me milk it for a bit. Let me, you know, fight, you know, Jack Catterall. Let me fight, you know, look for big fights at one Black Broner. But no, he wants to test himself against Terence Crawford. And I respect that, because Taylor is becoming a bit of like an old school fighter, where he just takes on all comers, wants to fight the best. And I like that about him. You know, look what he's done. He's cleaned up the division. He fought everybody. You know, even though the fights were close, that's irrelevant. The fact is he took that step. He took that step and he wants to fight everybody. You got to respect that. You got to respect that. But I just think you've had 18 fights. What's the rush? The problem is he's 30, heading on 31. So he's not like a young, but he's a young 30. You know, I think he's got years left in the game. He's only had 18 fights. So I don't know what the rush is to, you know, fight Terence Crawford, but it may be what he wants. So like I said, you've got to respect that. But in terms of me giving you what I think would happen, I don't think he beats Crawford. Again, it's just my opinion. You know, I'm not saying I'm right. I've been wrong before, but I just think there's other fights out there against guys, huge names, like a Broner, like a Gervonta Davis, like a, you know, Teofimo, who would be willing to fight Josh Taylor, like a Mikey Garcia, who's a big fight, and arguably a bigger fight than Crawford. Who knows? Is it a bigger fight? Is Mikey Garcia Taylor a bigger fight than Terence Crawford? I don't know. I don't know whether he beats Mikey Garcia. I think Mikey Garcia is a very, very good fighter. Mikey Garcia is coming off a win against Jesse Vargas. And Jesse Vargas is what was it, 147, 154? Where did I can't remember where they fought at. But yeah, Mikey Garcia for me is an elite fighter. He's been a bit inactive, and people think he's past his best, but I still think for Taylor is a very dangerous fight, because I think, again, for me, Mikey Garcia is a level above all those guys that Taylor's been fighting. So I think it would be a problem. I don't think it'd be an easy fight at all. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Would you like to see him fight Terence Crawford? I just think that there's other fights out there. I think there's other fights out there that to me make a lot more sense. Personally, I just think there's other fights out there that make a lot more sense. And I'm not sure Terence Crawford is the right fight. After 18 fights, you're jumping in with Crawford, and if you lose that momentum. See, a lot of people want to dare to be great, and but the fact is, if you lose everything you've gained. And I think there's other fights out there where he can increase his profile, because he still hasn't got a huge profile. That fight's promotion wasn't great. There was no coverage here in the UK. I don't think many people watched it, to be honest. None of the casuals still don't know who Josh Taylor is. Unfortunately, there's not been even I didn't even see much on Sky Sports today about it. Like, I think there's fights out there that to increase his profile, because as soon as you go in there with Crawford, you lose, then you've lost everything. You lost that momentum. Nobody wants to fight you. You're back down to where you were. A lot of people love fighting, and I know his fans will say, well, oh, he fought Crawford, he lost to the best, but yes, you could win. You could win. But I don't think it's the right fight for him right now. Why? Crawford's 33, 34. Why not wait for him to get a little older while you fight and increase your profile at 140? Because like I said, there's fights out there. Like, for me, Gervonta Davis would be a massive fight if he beats Barrios. Because think about it, right? Gervonta Davis is a smaller guy. Josh Taylor should be able to beat Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is a smaller guy. So he should be able to beat Davis. Taylor should be able to beat Davis. So for me personally, I think that should be a fight that Taylor's team should be targeting. Teofimo Lopez, again, another smaller guy that will be coming up. Broner, a guy that's, still a big name. Yeah, I know he's not. I know he's, people have gone off Adrian Broner, but still, he's still a big name, and he would sell the fight, and it would be a huge payday, and it would be a big promotion because of Adrian Broner. So to be honest with you, I don't know why it's Adrian Broner will always stay relevant because of his name, and the fact that he's a huge name in American boxing. So I think that could be a fight that Taylor could target. But I think deep down he wants to fight Terence Crawford. And Bob Arum, I was surprised because I thought Bob Arum, why would Bob Arum want to put Josh Taylor in with Terence Crawford? Because Terence Crawford is probably going to, you know, in October, if his contract ends, he may leave Bob Arum, right? So then you would potentially be putting Josh Taylor in there with Crawford, and there's a great chance that Taylor gets beat. If he gets beat, you potentially a cash cow, which is Taylor. Taylor could potentially be a cash cow. He's from Scotland. He's got a huge following in Scotland. I actually think that, you know, they could build something in Scotland with Josh Taylor. But I personally think that Top Rank are about, they're about promoting in America. You know, they're about promoting in America, and I think they would want to keep Josh Taylor in America. So that's why I think the Terence Crawford fight is a fight that could probably sell. I don't know whether it'd be a pay-per-view fight, and I'm not sure the fight sells because I don't think Taylor is a big enough name in America. And obviously Crawford, we know about his pay-per-view situation. So I don't even know whether the fight's big enough. I don't know whether the fight's big enough to warrant a fight like that. I don't know. I don't know. It's not a big pay-per-view fight. And it probably wouldn't be on pay-per-view, if I'm honest. It probably wouldn't be on pay-per-view. So, yeah, it's a difficult one for Taylor because where does he go now? Is he going to jump in there with a Crawford? Is he going to wait and look at some of the fights at 140? Because there are some great fights at 140. But again, it just depends on what Taylor wants to do. I personally think that he should probably, in my opinion, stay at 140. And right now, he's going to be hunted. So there's going to be a lot of people that want to fight him. A lot of top fighters that want to fight him. And there'll be big money fights. Fighting Terence Crawford, I feel like you go up there, you lose. You've lost all that momentum. You've lost everything that you've gained from winning the undisputed belts. Because let's not forget, he'd have to vacate if he's fighting Crawford. Unless Crawford comes down to 140, which he's not going to. Taylor would have to vacate all his belts. And once you move up to 147, you've made your decision. You're not going to go back down. And at 147, it's going to be very difficult for him to win a belt there. Very, very difficult. There's Crawford, Spence, unless those guys end up moving up. And even the guys that are coming through, like Virgil Ortiz, Jaron Ennis, they're a problem. They're a problem. So again, I think his career has to be maneuvered correctly from here on in, because like I said, a wrong decision now, like a move up to 147, could mean a couple of losses, and then you've lost all that momentum. You've lost everything that you've gained in 18 fights, the history that you've created. You know that the history is there now. He's created the history, no doubt about it. But I just think I think the wise move would be to stay at 140. But again, I think because of Taylor's heart and Taylor's willingness to fight the best, which is I love it. I love that he wants to fight the best. But at the same time, it's also a career, and you got to look at it from a management point of view, financially as well. And I think there's some big money fights at 140 that he can make and win, are more winnable fights than Terence Crawford. So I don't know. I don't know whether, you know, although he's talking about Crawford, whether he may get talked out of it by, you know, some of his team, or maybe Josh Taylor just wants to fight the best. And he doesn't care if, you know, he's risking losing. It's about fighting the best for him. Maybe he's cut from that kind of cloth. Listen, fair play to the guy. You know, he wants to test himself against the best. You can't argue that. He's obviously achieved something undisputed in 18 fights. It's incredible. So, you know, he's entitled. He's earned that. He's earned that fight against a pound-for-pound fighter. He's earned that fight. So, yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Crawford, but I think there's other fights at 140 that he should look at as well. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you give him much chance against Terence Crawford? Do you think he beats Crawford? Or do you think Crawford would be too much for him? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.